Welcome you and all to another episode of the Global Latin Factor podcast where we talk about Latino everything. Thank you so much for being here. If you have not subscribed to the channel, I don't know what you're waiting for. By the way, we have shirts, we have merchandise, and we appreciate every time you like, comment, and subscribe because it helps us a lot. Thank you so much for being here. We appreciate it. Today, we have an amazing individual. She is a documented jewelry designer creating something bello since 2015. The jewelry designer behind UndocuBeads, Jessica, aka Yessy en la casa, or Jessie. Sí, ¿verdad?
Yessy.
Hola, Yessy.
Thank
¿Cómo estás? How you doing today?
Gracias. Glad to be here.
Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate your time so much and your patience. I always like to be very transparent as far as what we didn't start on time or we had some hiccups with our stuff. So thank you. I appreciate your patience. We've been working on this to try to get you with your schedule and everything that I have going on, try to situate it for about a year or some change.
Oh my God, it's been a while.
But happy that we're here today. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and start everything. Okay, with your intro. I know you have a whole lot more things that you've done before, but as far as
We're
the
probably going to
business,
talk
all right.
about that directly.
So, now we're gonna go ahead and go into Preguntas Al Chile.
Preguntas Al Chile.
I don't know what you're waiting for. Do it. If you like this, if you like that. ¿Estás lista?
I'm ready.
Are you ready? ¿Tacos or tortas?
Oh, tacos.
Tacos? What's your go-to taco?
Al pastor.
Al pastor?
Trompo.
Trompo?
Trompo.
Trompo.
Has to be trompo.
Corn tortilla or flour tortilla?
Corn.
Yeah. Gorditas or pupusas?
Gorditas.
Gorditas? ¿De qué? Las quieres, which kind you like?
Picadillo.
Picadillo?
Picadillo con papa because my mom makes those.
Picadillo con papa. Good choice, good choice. Agua de horchata, Jamaica, or tamarindo?
Jamaica.
Jamaica. Have you ever had one of the, I know some of the pop-ups you attend. Have you ever had the best Jamaica ever? Do you know who it is? Who's the vendor? Nothing comes to mind?
Oh, I want to say is it Delicias? I want to say Delicias is the one that makes good agua de Jamaica.
And one of the pop-ups, somebody introduced me to Jamaica and limonada mixed together.
Yes, I had that once, but it was such a long time ago. I can't remember where I had it.
It's good.
Yeah.
It's good.
It's definitely good.
Because Doña Maria is the one that put me on game on that one. I'm like, whew, so refreshing.
I think Doña Maria is also on a Facebook group that I'm part of called Regias in Dallas. So it's probably where I've seen it too. So.
Yeah, that's cool. Mexican coca or jarritos?
Mexican coca.
Mexican coca. Salsa verde, salsa roja. Do you like spicy?
Oh, I love spicy.
Which kind?
Verde is my to-go-to, but
Yeah.
I guess certain spots just know how to hit it with the red.
With the red one, right?
Yeah,
True.
but it's always green. It's always good for me.
Yeah. Menudo or pozole?
Pozole.
Pozole. Which one? Verde, blanco, rojo? Rojo.
Bro.
Valentina, tapatio, or Cholula hot sauce?
Valentina.
Valentina?
Valentina.
It's like, okay, black label or the regular label? You know, there's two different labels, right? One was...
Oh, black. Definitely black. Definitely black.
Spicy.
Yeah, I had to think about it for a minute.
Cumbia or salsa dancing?
Cumbia.
Cumbia. Okay. This one's not even close to anything we're talking about. It's just, you know, all the things that are happening now with his TikTok videos, social media videos about aliens and things like that. It makes me, I like this question. Conspiracy theory that when you heard it, when you seen it, you can almost like, oh, that has to be true. There's no way it's not true. What could that be?
Oh, conspiracy thingies. What the aliens build the Aztec pyramids, and I'm just like, there's no way. I still don't. I don't believe it. I don't believe it. But people want to be like, oh, aliens build the pyramids in Egypt, and they build the pyramids in Machu Picchu, and they build them in the Mayan and Aztec pyramids. I'm like, no, there's no way.
What do you think for you when you think about that? For you, the more logical explanation for those that it was like actually hard work, or was it maybe more advanced technology that they had? But you say aliens is probably not it. But what would you think would be the more logical?
I think definitely advanced technology, because you have archaeologists that obviously do the groundwork literally, but they also find like whatever technology was used back in those times,
Yeah.
like get from point A to point B. And what was it? I took actually a math models class, and we used the Egyptian rope method as to how they would measure things. And when we used it for math problems, it actually, would give us the correct, accurate answer, whether as to, if we will use it on a calculator or something like that. So I'm like, whatever technology they had, that worked. That worked. And I wish we could use more of it.
What do you think if we were in such a great time, great space of technology back then, what made us want to go back to the dark ages? What happened? Do you think something happened that made us stop doing all those innovations, their technology?
Plagues, illness of some sort, and couldn't find the cure fast enough. So you obviously had intellectuals die in the process of that.
Have you heard of the floods that might have occurred back then too? 10,000 years.
Bubonic plague, what is it? Spanish flu, or at one point tuberculosis and polio. So
This crazy thing is if any kind of tragedy like that, whether it be a meteor, whether it would be a crazy plague that we can't stop, whether it be a great flood that we can't predict. Like, we know the concept of a phone, you and I, right? We know the concept of a car, but I don't know how to build a car. I don't know if you know how to build a phone to make it work. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So if things was to strike right now, whether it would be nuclear, whatever, I think we'll be right back to the dark ages, like that.
Start from scratch.
So we will have to and all those things that we have painted everywhere, many years from now, it'll be like those hieroglyphics that we're trying to now decipher in the pyramids and everywhere else.
Oh yeah, yeah. Have to figure out how they did it.
That's crazy, right? Well, it's just,
You kind of think about it like the show The Walking Dead.
yeah.
They had to figure out some things along the way too. How to like.
And then we tend to forget that Earth's been here so long, and so many type of humans, species, not the Homo sapiens, us, but other people that walked, of all the other things that we had. It's like it's easy how crazy of the time, how much time compared to how much we've been here, and the advances that we can possibly done at one moment, and all of a sudden just with like a plague erased everything, and we just have to start all over.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Anyways, getting a little deep on that. But I have some friends that like to talk about those things, and I think it's pretty interesting. When you hear the word Latino, Latina, where is the very, very first thing that comes to mind when you hear those words?
A mixture of North and Central Americans and the Caribbean. And I guess, yeah, South America too is a mixture of a lot of cultures.
That's cool.
There is no true Latin person. There is no true Hispanic person, because it's just they kind of labeled us all as Hispanic and as Latino. But it's a mixture of cultures, of countries, of people.
Yep.
But it's not like one distinct Latino, Latina. It's a
True.
mixture of many things.
That's true. Do you care if anybody calls you Latina? Do you prefer to be called Mexican, human being?
I've been called Mexican. I've been called Asian. I've been called Brazilian. I've been called Latina. I've been called many ugly things, not necessarily the good things.
Really?
But it doesn't really bother me.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, I know who I am, and God knows who I am. So that's all that matters.
That's true. That's true. Okay, let's talk a little bit about your journey. So, for somebody that looks into your IG and maybe your social media, they might be able to find a clues as to, and even your brand, as to where you come from, maybe not necessarily maybe the country. So you're from heritage is Mexican, correct?
Yes.
Nuevo León.
Nuevo León.
Okay. And can you tell me just Mande?
Regio Montana.
Regia Montana. And can you tell me a little bit about, do you recall your journey to the States? How did you get here?
So I remember, I think, I remember me and my sister rode a bus to get here. And then this lady took us with her, and then she drove us to this parking lot at the Holiday Inn. And then we met with our parents in the parking lot, and we were here. And they kind of drove us a little bit around before we got into the studio apartment that they were living at. So we were driving by Love Field Airport. And then my mom was like, you guys want ice cream? I'm like, yeah, we want ice cream. So then we went back to the apartment that they were living at, and we had Bluebell ice cream. Was the very first ice cream I had. And the very first soda that I had coming into the States was actually Dr. Pepper. And the only reason I drank that Dr. Pepper was because I thought it was just the American version of Coca-Cola. Because where we were at, there was no Coca-Cola. It's like, okay, so this must be the American version of the Coca-Cola. I'll
Right.
try this one because, color reference, I guess. And then I tried them like, oh my God, this tastes a lot better than Coca-Cola. So I was like, I'm going to keep drinking this. What is this called? Obviously, I can't read English. But I just remember a D and a P, and that's all I remembered. And then obviously my parents would buy Coca-Cola and be like,
Yeah.
where's the other one? I thought that was the American version of
Yeah.
that. So I just remember a bus ride. I lost a shoe, and
How'd you lose a shoe?
I don't I guess on the bus ride.
Probably falling asleep or something.
Probably fell asleep or in some uncomfortable way, but we couldn't find the shoe before getting off the bus. So I lost my shoe. I came to this country with one. I came over thinking I had two shoes on, but I only ended up making it with one shoe. So
Okay, so it's funny because the Dr. Pepper story is so interesting to me, right? Because again, culture shock immediately compared to at least my little town where you come from. I don't know if it was a little town or a big city, but like Coca-Cola was not a thing. It was like your imagination of like the Mexican Coca-Cola was the Dr. Pepper, right? But when I tried Dr. Pepper for the first time, you know how they say it has 23 flavors?
yes,
I think I had the wrong flavor because I thought it was disgusting. It tasted like medicine to me. It was gross. And I don't know,
had root beer. That's probably what you had.
no, I had Dr. Pepper. And then I thought maybe it wasn't cold either because it makes a big difference if you have a cold Dr. Pepper than the room temperature Dr. Pepper. So either way, it was disgusting. So my first experience with Dr. Pepper was gross. I didn't like it. It goes with me now. I don't drink mini sodas, but I was like, when you said Dr. Pepper, like, man, I remember the first time I tried it. And my first food ever, pizza. And I thought that was disgusting too. Greasy and spongy. It's nasty to me. Coming from frijolitos, huevitos, tortillas, salsa, to all that disgusting greasy stuff, it was bad. It was bad. Little Caesars too by that time. Hey, I'm just saying, that's what happened. Do what you do.
Don't have Little Caesars. I eat that from time to time.
So did your parents ever tell you why they decided to make it to Mexico? Like from my mom, dad tried to grow crops. They had a very bad storm, a hailstorm, and those crops that he was gonna profit of, he couldn't do it anymore. So the harvest was ruined. There was no other way. He decided to make his way to El Norte.
I just know that they wanted a better life.
Mhm.
I think my mom was in like her early 20s
Nice.
when that happened. Her and my stepdad came first. My stepdad first, and then she came later, and then it was us. But as far as I'm concerned, my mom just wanted to make a better living, be in a better situation than what we all were, and help out my grandma at the time.
What kind of work did they did over there? Was there any type of work that they did?
I don't know what my stepdad did specifically. I think my mom kind of had went from job to job at one point, but as to what her job was before she moved, I don't remember. I know she had mentioned a couple of times that she worked at an ice cream shop, but that was like the only thing I remember. I don't know what she did before we
Cool.
migrated.
So fast forward, you get to the States. You begin to go into school. Does anything look familiar? Does everything look alien to you?
Not well. Cartoons were the same. Obviously, a different language.
Yeah.
So I had to try to pick up English so that way I could understand what I was watching. So
How many years do you feel like you took you to kind of sort of understand English? And when did you kind of realize, I know English now?
I would say probably a good 4 years to at least be able to write it, speak it, and understand it,
Mm-hmm.
and read it without having to feel like I'm stuttering to an extent. But I won't say 4 years.
Yeah.
I want to say probably it wasn't until maybe around 5th, 6th grade when people could actually tell that I wasn't Mexican anymore because I didn't have an accent. I didn't have an accent anymore, so
So you picked it up good.
I picked it up, but I
Very
lost
well.
my accent.
Uh,
And whenever I would switch over from English to Espanol, they were like, oh, well, then I can hear it right there.
did you ever have a breakthrough in your mind to realize, like, oh my goodness, I know English? Like for me, one time I was doing, I don't know what, all of a sudden I was thinking, and I was thinking in English, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm thinking in freaking English. Like, oh my God, I know how to speak this language. You know what I mean? Like, to me, I just felt like that was I know English now because I can think it. If all I knew was Spanish, all I used to think was Spanish, all of a sudden I'm thinking in English. I'm like, oh my God, I get it.
That was actually a painful experience for me whenever I realized that. So
Really?
I had a really terrible teacher in third grade, my first semester. So she wasn't very nice to the ESL kids, but we didn't have an ESL class either. Um, and she would make us, the ones who were obviously struggling to read and write, she would make us get in front of the classroom and read and enunciate the words if we didn't understand it. And it was just me and this one girl left. And we were reading a book about bats. I hate that I remember that. It was a book about bats, and we had to read 3 sentences or we would get failed for the assignment. So then I read it. And I was, choking on my words because I was like trying not to cry, but also trying to read. I'm just like, I'm not like, I'm gonna be a little bitch or anything, right? So then I don't remember what the phrase was, but I remember reading it. And I felt relief, but because I was able to read it, to understand it.
Yeah.
And I was not gonna fail the class. But then the last person who was still standing was a friend of mine. And she was in tears. And I felt so bad. I'm just like, if this is what learning English is gonna come to, I really don't want to. For one, I didn't want to be made fun of. That was one thing. But also, I didn't want to be bullied by somebody I'm supposed to trust, and that should have been my teacher.
Yeah.
So that was a painful experience in a way, a relieving experience as well, to be able to finally understand. It's like, oh, I get it now, but I hate that it took this experience to get there.
Do you think it was any resentment? Do you think kind of sort of at one moment at a time when you're later on grown, you kind of sort of realize, well, maybe that's just the push I needed, the sink or swim type of push that I needed to be able to get it, or not necessarily. It could have been better handed.
I think it could have a different approach could have worked.
Okay, yeah,
Definitely.
that's cool. Yeah, I mean, yeah. I mean, and then I don't know how long ago it was in school, but a lot of the times schools were a little more tougher on kids like that instead of more, more caring, more nurturing to try to get you to get it instead of that.
Yeah, because I think at that point, like bilingual curriculum wasn't so big as it is now. So it was like maybe at the I guess pilot way.
So you was a pioneer.
Well, yeah, I was in the trade for a while. So yeah, that was a humbling experience. I hate how traumatic it was, but it is what it is.
Okay, so you were brought in as a kid. You had no really choice to whether you wanted to come or not. You just were brought, just like myself. Whenever you start kind of move through, whether it would be school or things like that, um, when did the DACA program for you became a thing, and how is it that you were able to maybe apply? Did anybody walk you through the process of doing it? Did you took it upon yourself? Did maybe you hire a lawyer to kind of sort of walk you through, kind of get that as minimum to start working and maybe going to school the right way? How did that happen for you?
So when DACA came around, it was 2012, the summer of 2012. At that point in my life, I was already an undergrad, but I was also like weighing my decisions like, why am I trying so hard in college to get this degree if I'm not going to be able to exercise it where I'm living, right? So I was really suicidal thinking about that because at one point I also thought, well, I don't want to go home. That's really not a choice. But I also, why am I staying here knowing I can't do anything about my situation? It's not like overnight I can marry a citizen and all my problems will be fixed. Nothing like that. So when DACA was announced, it was like a sigh of relief, a big relief, because it's like you're on the verge of like cutting your veins because there's absolutely nothing that you can do with your life. It's not like I had kids or anything holding me back, but I was also busting my ass just trying to like make ends meet, trying to go to school, get my degree, but to what avail? And then it was announced, and I had like text message saying, like, hey, the Dream Act passed and stuff like that. I was like, no, no, it's not. The Dream Act did not pass. Like, it fell in the Senate just back in December. It's like, there's no way. I was like, no, watch it. I was at work at the time when that happened. So then I went at home. I watched the news, like, President Obama announced executive action for deferred action for childhood arrivals. I'm like, wait, that's not the Dream Act. So I was like upset. I was like, that's not the Dream Act. Why would somebody tell me that that's the Dream Act? And then I got on social media. I was like, oh my God, I'm so happy for people. Like, there's a Dream Act. There's going to be papers for all these dreamers and stuff like that. I'm like, no, it's not. It's not. It's not the Dream Act. It's nothing like that. And I guess the more I looked on social media, there was a couple of people who already had organized, immigrant youth, that they were like, oh, we're going to have a panel with lawyers, with people in the movement, about what does it mean to have DACA? What will that mean? What will it do? What type of paperwork should people start getting ready? Who's going to qualify? Who's not? Who's going to be disqualified automatically? So I started attending these panels, one by one.
Was it in school or how did you find them?
I found out through social media,
Mhm.
just the simple flyers like, hey, there's going to be a panel at UTA, there's going to be a panel at UTD, there's going to be a panel at El Centro or at this church. So I went to different ones just to see, who was behind all these panels. So it was a mixture of immigration attorneys, also people who worked in USCIS, paralegals, different nonprofit organizations. It'll be like, Catholic Charities, North Texas Dream Team, where's the Proyecto Inmigrante was also one of those organizations. Like, this is what we're gonna do. This is the type of paperwork that people should start gathering. So that's how I got more informed and stuff like that. And then when they finally released the application in August, I decided, North Texas Dream Team said that, hey, we will help people fill out the application here. This is, please show up at the LNESC in Oak Cliff at this time and we'll help you through the process and we'll have some applications. And I went there and then I found out a little bit more about the organization and it grew on me. So that's where I was with DACA. I got involved. So then I became part of, all these SB4 campaigns and 287G at one point. So I got involved with all of that. I dove really deep into the movement at the time.
Well, activists and at the same time, because he helped you get your status at the moment of time and be able to make it easier. Uh, I mean, I'm sure you could probably do it yourself, but not knowing how the right way to do it, having a group of people that are kind of sort of help you, to join them to do the things that we're doing.
Yeah, so for me, North Texas Dream Team was a lifeline for me because I finally didn't feel alone, for one, because I now knew people. There was people out there in the same situation, if not worse than what I was. Um, so it gave me, I felt like I got a new purpose, but I also wanted to help people who were in my situation or who, who just needed help.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, well, let me find out how this works. So now I'm able to help somebody or, and not just myself, and definitely found a lot of things. I feel like I learned a lot in those years that I was involved with the organization.
Yeah. How long were you involved? First of all, thank you. I'm so happy that you're here.
Thank you.
I I don't know how to take it whenever somebody is able to talk about things like that, having thoughts like that, because there's no hope, but having something that gives you hope and then having purpose and find purpose to help other people kind of sort of gives you life and purpose to be able to be of service and help out. I don't know how to take it sometimes. I don't know how to explain it well, and I don't know how to receive it, but thank you for sharing. I appreciate it. I'm glad you're here. uh, so now moving forward, you work for them for some time, and then now you continue to work, you continue to go to school. What is it you continue to do?
So when I started with NTDT, I was still in school. So I was still in school. I was working a terrible part-time job. I say terrible because I was barely making enough for me to be able to take the train to and from school to work. So it's not like I had my own vehicle or anything like that, but I was barely making it. Um, and then I was involved with NTDT until maybe 2018, 2017 was around the time that I decided to, hey, I'm a little too busy now. I have to kind of like work on myself. So I continue with them. I still continue being involved in the movement. And then I had an unfortunate situation happen in 2016. I don't know if you remember in Dallas whenever the Dallas Police Department officers that had fallen
Yep.
during a shooting.
I was
So
there.
I was there a couple of streets away from that. And I kind of I couldn't sleep a lot after that had happened, knowing that I was so close to the fire. So I decided not to be as involved as I wanted to. I felt like I didn't have the mental capacity to do it as much as I wanted to anymore.
Did you seek help at that time to help you through those things?
I did not. I did not.
Was that an economic issue?
It was, at one point it was kind of economic, but I also didn't know how to go about it.
What was your coping mechanism during that time to kind of help you at all? Anything?
Music. Just getting really deep into music, because around this time that also happened, I was working at the bomb factory in Deep Ellum. So I was always doing something related to music. So long as I was there, that was like my church, my sanctuary, to just kind of like drown out whatever other things were going on in the world.
Yeah, that's cool. So when was it that you kind of sort of felt a little bit better after that has happened, that you were able to continue to do other stuff that, give you, it may put you in a better place, let's say?
I think when I finally got my first raise ever. So when I was working in a corporate, I finally had gotten my first raise, and it was a nice raise. So I was like, I felt like I was on top of the world, but that I could do anything. So I feel a lot better. I felt accomplished. I'm like, I'm stable now. There should be nothing, absolutely nothing going wrong for me in my life. And that's when I felt a lot better about things.
Yeah. That's good. Okay. So now fast forward, you continue, you're still a DACA recipient. You have to renew every year, every so how often?
It's every 2 years.
Every 2 years.
Every 2 years
And
that you
so
have
to
to
help
roll
you
with it.
be to do the whole process is hard. Were you, because you were with the people you were with, they kind of sort of helped you to make it easier for you to do it yourself? Or?
So when DACA first came out, I wasn't able to do it at first just because I was very low on funds. So I was just like, how am I going to go about it? Because, this is money I can't even set aside for every check. So I don't know how long that's going to take me.
Wow.
So thankfully, I was able to do my case pro bono. So I didn't have to, because there was some questions, a complicated case that I had, where like, hey, I don't know if I can just submit the application and send it off because, of what happened with me and my mom some time ago. So it's like, I'm gonna need a lawyer, like who's able to do it. So I saw the opportunity that, hey, certain people will meet the pro bono criteria. I applied and thankfully I got it. So I'm very thankful for that.
Nice.
And then at that time, DACA was like only $475. That fee has increased twice since then. So I think now it's like $500 at probably a little bit more.
Around there.
And that's not counting like you having to get like your passport photos or, copies of certain documents that you have to send off, obviously postage or FedEx or whatever method you're going to use to send it off. So, that last increment really hurt. Because that's you're talking about, like, that could be like somebody's college tuition payment or half of somebody's rent or grocery money, So it hurts. It hurts to have.
Okay, but you were able to find a way and be able to do it consistently. Let's talk, before we get to the other part of where you're at now, let's talk about the business. So when 2015, are you already pondering about starting a business? You see something at a place you're working at, a bead wholesale, but at the same time you're doing other stuff. But why entrepreneurship? Why want to even begin to do a business? Why jewelry? Or was there anything that you thought about being a kid that you kind of enjoy putting together, or what did that come about?
So at the time when I kind of was playing with the idea in 2015, obviously decided to stop going to college for some time. So I was like, what am I going to do with my life aside from the fact that I already in so much debt? So where I was working was for a wholesale jeweler. And obviously I'm seeing, people who already have their own business come in and out, buy their supplies, go off with it. Or then they talk about a little bit about like how they started their business, what they're doing with it, who they're working with. And the one that stuck to me the most, I can't remember what her business is called now, but she was talking about, it's like, when I first started with my jewelry business, I just started putting some necklaces together, something simple. And then before you know it, after I did my first market, I got a call from somebody from Neiman Marcus saying that they wanted to carry my line. And that's where she took off. And I'm not saying that like, if I start something like that, that's gonna be me, right? I'm gonna be a success, right, overnight. She got her, her break, because she went from being a biology teacher to starting her own business, and it took off when Neiman Marcus decided to sign her on. So I'm just like, what's there to lose? I mean, I've already lost. I don't know. I felt like I've lost already enough in this life. Like, there's nothing else more that I could lose. So I was like, let me try. I mean, I already do beadwork here at work all the time. I was like, why not try something of my own?
Was that something that you just did it just because you were to waste time, or you
I
kind of?
in a way, I wanted to waste time because time was all I had, really. Um, and then I also had my broken jewelry at home, so I was like, I don't want to throw it away. I still want to like repair it, fix it, repurpose it somehow. So I decided, it's like, well, let me buy a couple of scraps from where I work, see what I do with those. And then I bought more things because, like, oh, well, I need this in order to put this together, but then I'm also gonna need these tools. I can even make these things. So then I bought supplies, I bought beads, I bought tools. I was like, okay, let me do it. And then it was around Christmas time. I'm just like, I wanna, I'm in the mood for giving, you know. I just want to give this year. So I made over 100 something bracelets for my coworkers at Bomb Factory, and I was just like, let me see how it goes, how people react
Mhm.
to what could be my product, right? And everyone's like, oh my God, I think this is perfect. I've been looking for this. Like, I really like it. Like, I wear it to work every day because, obviously these people also have other jobs outside of the bomb factory. So it's like, I wear it all the time. I get compliments on it. Everyone asks me for it. So the reception was really good. So I was like, okay, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. I don't know how, but I'm going to do it.
That's cool.
So then I started like designing my own logo. And then I started doing a little bit of marketing materials and stuff like that. And I was like, okay, let's see how this goes. And my mom's like, you did that? I'm like, yeah, I did that. It's like, make me this, prepare me this. So she was like, do this, do that, do this. I'm like, okay, well, this is good exercise anyway. So my mom was one of my first clients. So I was like,
Awesome.
okay. I'm like, I can do it. I'm like, obviously my mom likes the result. And then she was like, wait, hey, my coworker wants this. Can you also make her this too? I'm like, okay, yeah, I'll do it. And then she sometimes like, I'll buy you the supplies. So like, here, just make it, just put it together, and wrap it up, and I'll give it away. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
So then it took off from that, and then I started making some stuff for myself. But I was like, I want to make something a little more that has more weight to it, not necessarily like it literally weighs, but like I want it to look nice,
More significant.
more
Yeah.
significant, obviously affordable.
Mhm.
So I want to be able to reach somebody who's like, say, maybe in my position and stuff like that, and they're able to wear it and be able to afford it.
Nice.
And in 2018, I finally got my first call to a pop-up. It wasn't what you typically see at a pop-up now, but it was this event in Deep Ellum called Boom Boom Boom
Mm.
with Victor. Boom Boom Boom. That's and they still have it. They still have it. Obviously not to the big scale that they had it before, but it's called Boom Boom Boom. And my friend Victor was telling me, it's like, hey, we're looking for some people to be a vendor. Would you be interested in vending some of your bracelets? I'm like, yeah, let's do it. I'm like, I have nothing to build upon.
How did he find you? Did you start your Instagram already, and maybe was selling it all at all, or?
So Victor and I met at a Central College because he was doing art and I was an art student at the time. So that's how I met. He was friends with also somebody I used to go to high school with named Raymond. So kind of, all the art students kind of knew each other at a Central to an extent. So that's how I met him. And he saw that I was starting to do like jewelry and stuff like that.
Were you
Like
posting it on social media?
on social media.
That's where you kind of.
Oh, on my personal Instagram at first, before I started doing, the UndocuBeads Instagram. So I was like, hey, would you like to be a vendor? Like, try to sell your jewelry there. I'm like, yeah, sure, I'll go for it. And it went pretty well that
Yeah.
night.
How did you feel the night before you got to the place?
I was kind of nervous.
Mm-hmm.
I already knew the venue. So I was like, okay, this should work out. Because the last time I was at that venue, I had gotten blackout drunk, so that was my only memory of it.
Yeah.
Um, and then like as people were approaching my tables, like, oh, what is this? I really like this. What's like? Does it mean anything? Do you put oils on it? I'm like, no, I just make it to make it because it looks nice. I don't.
Did you have a story yet at the time? Is the reason why you wanted to do it? The name of it, the logo, any of that stuff, any of those things? Cause you kind of don't have to pitch, but you kind of sort of still have to kind of tell them what it is besides showing the merchandise, is to maybe want to entice people to buy something. You know what I mean?
Well, I did not have my elevator pitch at the time.
Yeah.
So they're like, how do you pronounce this? Uduku. But like, no, it's not it's UndocuBeads. I was like, oh, okay, all right. Like people weren't asking me like right away what that meant.
They just like what they saw.
They're like, oh, I like this. How much is this? And they're like, how much is that? I'm like, oh my God. They're like,
So you were selling very cheap, but in the beginning,
at first I was, because I didn't know how to price it just yet, but I wasn't making anything like so super expensive. Like I wasn't working with like fine jewelry or anything like that. So I was like, I'm not gonna charge them so high either. So it's like the intent is for it to be affordable. So that was going for that type of price point. So like, oh, okay. So I had people like buying multiple of things. I was like, okay, it's going good. This is gonna work. This is gonna work. So I was like, okay, let me work on my logo a little bit more. Color scheme, how this is gonna work out. So then I decided to create my Instagram, started posting pictures, try to start a little bit of product photography because I was really bad at it really first. So and that's how it went.
So the original logo is not your current logo. Did you tweak it?
No, the original logo was the current one. I did have 3 separate ones that I was trying to decide upon until I decided on that one. So I wanted something to represent, because I'm an immigrant, I wanted it to represent something that is me. So I was like, what is one thing that I guess represents migration, immigration?
Yeah.
And often people associate the monarch butterfly because the monarch butterfly, migrates, from north to south all the time. And I feel like, well, that's a good representation. Why not use those colors, or why not use a butterfly? I'm like, well, I don't want to use a butterfly. I want to use a part of the butterfly, maybe
like a wing,
color scheme, a wing or something abstract of the butterfly. And at the same time, I wanted to represent some type of like gem to it. So at the time when I was designing the logo, we were selling a lot of these druzy beads. So it'll be like a druzy bead, and then it'd be decorated on the sides with like rhinestones and some other metal stones to it. So I was like, okay, so kind of make it represent something like that. And it could be like the colors of the butterfly. So it's like, let the orange be like the main stone, and then around it be like those little rhinestones that would go around a pendant. So I was like, okay, well, that still looks like part of the butterfly, still from the color scheme. I'll leave it at that. And then I took time to look for a font to typeface. Sorry for my designer friends out there. A typeface that would kind of like go with it. It's like, I don't want it to be like Old English, kind of like everyone uses, but I kind of wanted to have that I guess
maybe like a native font, kind of, but not necessarily.
Not native, but like I didn't want it to be Old English, but I didn't want it to be like your average typeface where it's just like, it looks like Times New Roman or anything like that.
Yeah.
I was like, something like a hybrid of something of that sort. So then I found that one. I purchased it. I'm just like, I'm gonna stick with this. I'm all of my stuff I will at least be, legitimate because I've already, attributed to that. And then I started making my banners, printed out stickers, and I was like, I like how this looks. I'm really gonna stick with this one.
Yeah.
And if anybody asks me along the way what that means, I'll have my story to prepare for that.
And then when did you settle on the name as far as the actual name itself? Was there other names that you had, or this was it? When you kind of sort of started playing with how it was going to be your brand, your name, that's what you want to settle with?
So at the time, because I was also, phasing out myself from the from the immigrant movement, it was a lot of other undocu artists that I was, in touch with. So everyone was calling their stuff undocu this, undocu that. So I was like, I kind of like that. I do want my brand to represent something like that. And I work with beads. I mean, are they undocu beads? They're beads from an undocumented person.
Yeah.
So I was like, let me hit up my friend Angie, see what she thinks. She's like, I love it. I love it. Stick with that. I'm like, okay. I got her blessing, as I always call it. I got her blessing, and I stuck with UndocuBeads. And in Spanish, sometimes it's like, I remember somebody asked me, it's like, well, what does this mean? It's like, Indocupiedras. I'm like, mira, te tiraste con el nombre, ¿verdad? Indocupiedras. I'm like, yeah.
I like that.
So it was like, oh, I like that. Me gusta mucho. I was like, te tiraste con el nombre. I'm like, yeah.
Okay, so quería empezar a hablar español. Y'all don't understand how difficult it is to have two languages, and then a couple words come out, and then you just want to just jump on that language. It's weird. Okay, so you in the beginning, was it just bracelets? Was it what kind of product were you carrying mostly? Were you doing already um, earrings? Anything else? Any particular product that you were pushing more than others?
So I was doing, whenever I decided to make the Christmas gifts first, it was nothing but bracelets. And then I continued making more bracelets. And then I decided to try necklaces. And then from whatever spare parts I had from both, then I decided to make earrings. So it evolved into that. I did try earrings, not earrings, but rings for a while. But that wasn't my bestseller anymore. So I was like, let me not do rings anymore.
So your product line right now you carry is bracelets, necklaces, earrings, and what else?
That's all I carry so far.
Okay. And it's all handcrafted. You do it all.
I do it all by myself. I take the time and sit down and, have my bead tray. It'll be like bracelet here, bracelet there, earring here, earring there. So,
Is there a particular bestseller that you have?
um, I want to say earrings right now. Earrings are hot. Earrings are hot. There'll be a season where earrings are cool, and then there'll be another season where like bracelets are cool. And then it was like, oh, well, I want a necklace. I'll take that too. Or they want a combination of both. But it's the holidays. Everyone will kind of take a little bit of everything.
Do you do the combination set, like the earrings, the matching bracelet, and the whatever else, earring, necklace, and matching?
I wanted to do that at first, and I did that with a few sets. That did not go very well for me.
Really?
Some people would be like, oh, well, I just want the earrings, or I just want the necklace, or I just want the bracelet. I'm like,
You slept. You were left one of the other ones. I'm like,
yeah. So I was like, now it's incomplete sets. So I definitely don't do sets anymore. I try to tell the people like, hey, I do have a necklace and I also have the earrings to match it with. Some people will be a little receptive to that.
yeah.
Other people's like, oh, no, I don't really wear necklaces, or I don't really wear earrings, or whatever this.
What is it? Whenever you start creating something, do you have something in mind? How do you already envision what is it gonna look like, or you kind of just free flow it? Do you have a system? Do you have a process to be able to create, whether it would be a bracelet, necklace, or earring?
Sometimes I do have a process. If it's something that has sold very well for me before, then I already have the system in place. It's like, okay, well, I need to recreate this many of this one product because it sold very well. And people always ask me, it's like, when are you gonna have it again? Other times will be like, okay, I'm gonna freestyle this and see how people are receptive to it. And if I see if it doesn't sell for a very long time, then I just discontinue it. But usually if it's something that people were very receptive to, I'll try to recreate it again. It won't always be the same. I try not to always keep everything the same, but like sometimes if it's something that sells really good, I'll recreate again. Just, I want to make my money too.
Yeah, that's cool. So you find something as you're doing the pop-up, the first one is very successful because it's nerve-wracking, the first one ever. Do you take off with pop-ups at that time, or not necessarily? Does it take a long time before you get the next pop-up? And is it the pop-up thing that now is like, because you start finding things within the pop-up, right? You start finding certain things that you maybe didn't think you were going to find in the pop-up.
So I think after the first one is probably like a 2 or a month and a half, maybe before that got to the next one. That one went pretty successful too, but I can't say the third, the fourth, and the fifth went very well for me. It was, I had either somebody who would sell different type, like the same category, but obviously they're they have been more established than I was. So obviously, my competitor would be doing a lot better than I was. So it's like it's just having being acclimated to what people like, what they don't like, how they perceive the product, and um how much they want to spend too. Because people are in a budget sometimes, but they're like, oh, if they really want something of that one specific product, then they'll buy that instead over whatever might be affordable.
Yeah.
So it was a couple of months, sometimes years, where I would not be very successful. So I'll be like, should I still continue to do it, or should I just like scale down? Got to pick my battles sometimes. Try not to get frustrated along the way.
Yeah, of course.
That too.
Which was your favorite? I don't want to get you in trouble with all the other vendors. She's open to work a lot of y'all, so please don't take it to heart. But what was the one that really impacted you the most as far as the pop-ups you had that you attended, and you kind of, for whatever reason, maybe it wasn't monetary, maybe it was just, man, I really like this, or I need to be here too, besides the product.
I think one that really impacted me the most, and I'm not saying this to say bad, because the host did a very wonderful job, and I always commend her for that, because her, at the scale that she did it, it was magnificent. However, not relating to the market itself, there was an incident that was happening behind my booth where there was a kind of a domestic type of dispute going on.
Oh, wow.
And me being the person that I am, it's like, hey, you better not hurt this person. So I got in between them. It's like, hey, you leave this person alone. And obviously, I got a mixed reaction from friends and family. It's like, you shouldn't have done that. You could have gotten hurt. And I was like, no, like that person could have gotten hurt. And then what was I supposed to wait for, like the authorities to show up and be like, hey, you can't do anything or anything like that? I'm like, that person could have been dead before they got there. So I think that was the most impactful for me, that, the activist in me is still there, fighting for somebody.
Yeah.
So it's like, I'm still there. I might be a little bit dormant now, but I'm still there.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Okay, so now you still continue doing you still continue to, I seen you recently, you have a couple of events, pop-ups coming up, right?
Yes. Actually, this weekend I have a Bluey theme event. I'm really excited about that because, my kid is into Bluey. I've gotten into Bluey. I didn't expect to. But, the more you watch the show, the more it gets to you as not just a parent, but, the perception of how kids perceive, adults and situations. So I'm very excited about that. I'm very excited about the Bluey market. And then the week after is a plant market out in Richardson.
Nice.
So I'm very excited about that too, because it will be my second one in the plant community, and I love plants, by the way.
Yeah.
So I'm very excited about that, to reconnect with other vendors that I met at the last one for this one too. So I'm not saying I'm gonna buy plants, but if I come home with a couple, don't be surprised.
Would you consider what they call it, plant mom?
A plant mom. I'm a plant parent. Support Planned Parenthood. So
That's funny. Okay, what do you have in mind right now, envisioning for UndocuBeads? Do you have anything else that you want to do? Do you want to scale up any other way? Do you want to grow? Do you want to, I don't know if pop-up is only the thing that you do. I don't know if you deliver or send out mail, stuff like that. Any of those things that you're looking into doing?
well, I actually did have my first online order. Was not planned, but it was while I was at a pop up, and a friend of mine from college decided to hit me up. It's like, hey, I like what you have right here. I want these 4 necklaces for a friend. Can you please mail them to me? I'm like, definitely. I didn't even hesitate, and I set them aside, packed them up, sent them off. And he was really happy. He was like, she really loved them. Now she can wear them whenever she wants and stuff like that. Cause
That's
Hello Kitty's her, like, one of her big things. I was like, okay, cool. It's like, if there's anything else that you make, let me know, please, because I want to order more. I haven't made anything in relation to Hello Kitty since, but definitely, it's in my avenue that's a possibility. I'm not very well oriented with online marketing. Well, not marketing.
on like e-commerce and things like
E-commerce.
that.
Yeah, I'm not very good with that right now. Right now, it's more like, because my pieces are so unique, I don't always make multiples of everything. It's whatever I have at the pop-up, that's what it'll sell. And once I post it, more than likely, it's already gone by the next time I post the next set of things that I
Wow,
make. So
that's
it's like,
good. That's
I don't
good.
know. I would like for it to grow. I don't know to what scale, but I would like for it to like become maybe like an avenue to where I can help somebody undocumented with, like a scholarship of some sort, whether it's for school or maybe like
Have you thought of doing your own event to some way, somehow, to do a fundraiser for your own scholarship that you want to do at one time or another? I would support you if you want. If you
I mean, I've thought about it. I don't know to what scale. It will just, you know, take having to sit down, take the time and be like trying to hash out all those logistics. Because I know even in nonprofit organizing, that takes a lot out of you. So I was like, will I have the energy to do something like that again?
But if you do happen to,
If I do happen to do it, I definitely will want to do it.
I got
Because that's what I want that to be the ultimate goal. Where
you have your first supporter right here. If you were to decide to do
you.
that, I got you. Just
So-
whatever I can, I'll be able to
Yeah.
help as much as I can.
Thank you for that.
Now, going back to, as you were talking about helping somebody document and do a scholarship maybe here in the future, that will be awesome. However, now you're going through a different change now as far as your status, as far as the things that you have to work. Is it okay for you to talk about a little bit about that? First of all, let's talk about how important it is to, if you're a DACA recipient or even a resident, you have to always do the right thing, because you don't ever want to put anything that might stop you or add additional costs, because you have to hire a lawyer or things like that. So it's super important to do the right thing, especially being a DACA recipient or even a resident, so you don't jeopardize your status here in the United States.
Mhm.
Can you talk about that a little bit?
No, definitely. I don't mind talking about that. So, I always knew, maybe, subconsciously sometimes, that DACA would not be permanent. I know that it was always a risk that it would always be taken, or maybe something might have evolved from it, but I know that it was not going to be permanent. Just like TPS is
So it
not
was never a
permanent.
solution for the
No,
problem.
it definitely was not going to be what do you call it? A golden ticket of anything. And I also learned along the way, whenever I was helping other DACA recipients, whatever cases they might have, is like, sometimes people get in trouble too. They were at the wrong place at the wrong time through no fault of their own.
Yep.
So it's like, how do you help those people? Obviously, through legal assistance, there's ways to be able to help those people.
But it requires
Not just money, but also to have a good immigration lawyer that not only is, is going to take the time to be like, hey, this is how it's laid out. These are what your options are, but this is what you have to do in order for you to get there. So it's a lot of, you have to be honest with your immigration attorney, whoever they are. Like, hey, you need to tell them pretty much everything.
because they will find out.
We'll
find out.
They will find out whenever they request that FOIA. They found out, like, hey, you didn't tell me this, why didn't you tell me that? He's like, maybe you didn't want to tell me, but in front of the eyes of USCIS, that's considered a lie because you left something out, and that's the last thing you do. You don't want any type of, whether it's DACA or any other type of immigration application, to be denied for something that you left out. So now I'm currently pending adjustment of status. So thank God for that, because I just got my husband just got the alien relative the I-30 approved. So now we're waiting to see whether my 40 I can't even remember what the application is.
Codes.
So many codes. We're waiting on my half to get approved, and I think we also have an interview to go to, but we don't know just yet. We're just kind of like seeing where everything is at right now. But it was a bittersweet moment too, because I was like, oh my God, that's my last DACA that I renewed. Not now, but the last time.
But still, the journey itself, just to get here, it costs.
It does.
a bit
I'm thankful I've had a steady job each time to have been able to fill out my application and send it off in a timely manner. There was one instance where I wasn't able to turn it in on time. But thankful that I've been able to do it when I've been able to. This last one, I did do advanced parole too, and then having to file the petition from my spouse and stuff like that, I did take a toll on me, and obviously it dug a hole in my pocket too, because it's a lot of money, it's a lot of having to submit paperwork that you're not used to, like
The uncertainty too, yeah.
the uncertainty whether it's gonna get approved or not. Is like, did I submit enough verification? Did I submit too much verifications? Because sometimes it can be that much. It's like, we don't need this much information, you know.
Don't volunteer information.
But also, it's like, what is adequate to submit? And that's where your lawyer will kick in. It's like, hey, thank you for giving us this information. Maybe this leave out, but then put this in because this makes your application look, better.
Yeah.
So I'm thankful for my attorney for, taking the time of dates and nights, I'm pretty sure, to look over my application, make sure that everything was sent out in a timely manner too. Because, immigration fees also went up this past year. So that wasn't fun either.
Man. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I hope everything works out for the best.
Thank you.
I think that so weird, man. It's so weird to people that don't know, are not in the position to be able to talk about people that didn't have a choice to come. You were a child, you have no say-so of your own. You're a minor. You brought over because your parents didn't want to be separated from you. And those people that are about do it the right way, like you've never been in that situation before. You can't relate because you're not be put in that place. You can't relate because maybe you're monetarily, you are better off than other people. You should be grateful that you weren't in that position, but you can't speak on other people because you've never been there.
Right.
You never been there. You never had the situation. You never had the lack of funds. Again, be super grateful that you were not that, but you cannot. You can, but it's really relevant for you to opinionate on somebody to do it the right way if you never lived that life.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I agree.
You never lived that life. So, again, I hope everything works out for the better. I have just a couple more questions. So, what's funny is you told me as far as what do you want to do when you grow up? You want to be a weather person.
I did want to be a meteorologist. I always liked the segment and then, the local news. Where it's like, oh, it's the weather with so and so. I was like, oh my God, let me watch it. I'm like, what's it gonna be like for the week? What's going on, in other parts of that's not Texas. So I'm like, I want to be that when I grow up. I want to tell people what the weather is gonna be like. I mean, that looks kind of cool. I want to be in front of a screen, pointing here and there. It's like, hey, the weather's here is like this and here's like this.
You look at your screen.
And then
At
also, my stepdad had gotten his bootleg cable. So then I was started watching other, cable channels, and I remember flipping once through the Discovery Channel, and they were doing this segment about, was it
Storm Chasers?
Storm Chasers? I'm like, oh my God, why would they do that? I'm like, but that looks so cool. They got all these equipment, and they're over here in front of a tornado. It's like, I want to be in front of like something that
I don't think you would.
majestic. Obviously not now. But I'm like, I want to do that when I grow up. I want to be passionate about chasing a storm of some sort.
Yeah.
Obviously, that did not work out. To the back of my mind, I I'm still.
You even done a little acting before, right?
I did. I did one play when I was in college called Captain Fantastic, and I was one of their lead roles.
Is that from the movie?
No, it's not from the movie. No, it's not from the movie. But it was no. I did the lead role, so I was the damsel in distress. My name was Penelope in the play.
That's cool.
So I had that role, and then I was able to scratch off something off my bucket list. A year later, in a Shakespeare play called Much Ado About Nothing,
Wow.
and I was a character called Hero. So she was the one that's gonna be married in there. In the play, and then somebody tries to like soil her name, and it's really complicated to explain because I'm trying to remember what the story quest and I can't remember. So I got to do a Shakespeare play. I've always wanted to do one. I prefer Hamlet, but
Wait,
I got to
Shakespeare.
the year after that, I was able to help direct a Sherlock Holmes play.
Nice.
So I take pride in that. And then I really didn't do much acting after that.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
No, that's cool. What would you say to a younger version of you? What would you say to her now?
Don't give up. Definitely don't give up. It does get better. I know sometimes it feels like the world is against you,
Yeah.
but things definitely do get better. Although sometimes not the way you want them to, and that's okay. Because like life is not, it's not a straight line. It's full of detours and twists and turns and whatnot. But it definitely does get better. Just don't give up.
Yeah, definitely. Tell me all your social media. Where can people find you at? Where can they follow you? Where can they check your merchandise? And
So for UndocuBeads, it's at UndocuBeads, no spaces. The same for Facebook, UndocuBeads, no spaces. You can also find me on my personal Instagram. It's at Yessy the Hobbit. That's also where you can also find me at for other interesting takes. But jewelry wise, is at UndocuBeads, both Facebook and Instagram.
yeah. Are you having a website right now?
I do not have a website.
Okay, it's in the works
Hold
here in the
on.
near future. Absolutely. And I know you told this part is gonna air after the pop-ups. However, what other projects or things? Of course, maybe the scholarships here in the near future, but any other projects or pop-ups that you have maybe December-ish, mid-December, anything like that yet?
Um, I'm hoping something comes along after the planned pop-up that I have going on. Hopefully maybe around sometime in after January.
Mm.
Because I just want to take a break in January after all the holidays and stuff. So definitely in February, before Valentine's Day. So let me know.
Oh yeah, definitely. And any shout outs, saludos, anybody you want to shout out?
Definitely my husband, Anthony. I know he's at home with baby Olivia, so thank you for watching her while, I'm out here doing my thing. Definitely my mom, because my mom is my rock. She did make a sacrifice to come to this country to and also, provide a better future for me so I could have a better. Um, a couple of my coworkers at work, because some of my coworkers are my clients too. So, and definitely all of my old coworkers and friends from NTDT and Rena Center. I love y'all so much.
Shout out to Red Center.
Oh, and Bruce, because I know you're with your mom, but I still love you too. So hope to see you hopefully on Thursday for Thanksgiving.
Awesome. Okay, and what is an important kind of tied to the one you had? Well, what is an important lesson that you learned doing the entrepreneur, the DocuBeats? You would tell your younger self that would help somebody else out. What would that be?
When you buy a canopy, buy your weights too. You do not buy your canopy to fly away like that Easter time.
Oh, really?
I had
That's
what was it in 2021? I was doing an Easter market and I had just bought a canopy. But it got so windy by the time breakdown happened and my canopy just flew off. And I didn't have any weights at the time. And obviously the canopy, the metal rods, they broke too. So I was like, well,
that.
that's terrible. So now if you buy the canopy, buy the weights.
Anything in the other lesson that you learned, the entrepreneur spirit and the entrepreneur journey that you would tell your younger self?
Oh yeah, definitely. Don't forget to take care of yourself. Like stay hydrated. Feed yourself because sometimes you won't have the time to leave your booth, but you definitely need to like some type of nourishment mentally, physically, spiritually. Like don't always go with the mindset like, oh, because the weather is bad, nothing good is gonna come of it, or because there's so many people that everyone's gonna be willing to buy or anything like that. Just be you know have a little grace for yourself because not every market is gonna be hot and heavy, but also take care of yourself. Like 'cause at the end of the day, the one that you're gonna go home to is also yourself besides your family.
That's cool. Awesome. And something that I say usually throughout my day, once a month right now gets like an audit. But I really do remind myself I'm not immortal. I am mortal and I will die one day. And I heard it from a gentleman. I really liked it. And part of made me cry that day that I heard it. But it's very deep because it makes you realize we're not here forever. We're really not. And not to scare you, terrify you, or anything. But that's just a reality of your life, right? It's gonna happen eventually. But it makes me want to, at least for me, hurry up and do things and get things done. With that, I wish you a long, long, prosperous life. However, after everything's said and done, what do you want people to think and feel about your life?
Well, I'm no one's hero. I may have inspired people here and there. However, um, I think for me, what I would cherish the most, or what I would want them to cherish the most, is whatever memories we hold together. Whether it's a photograph or a song. Um, thanks for the memories.
Awesome. And again, I think we were like better to pop up at Breeze at Chingonas Only. And she told me like, hey, you need to check her out. You need to hear about the story. And we did. And it was like a year of,
Probably 2 years ago.
It's been 2 years already. You think so?
What was it? Was it 2022?
23. I thought it was 2023.
Or
But it
maybe
longer.
2023. I don't know.
I think so, maybe. But you could be right. But I always wanted to, and I reach every so often send you a DM because this work, and then finally we're able to come to the same. Even after you got here, we got a little huddle, a little not huddle, but a little obstacle, but we still surpassed it.
Yep.
Thank you for your patience. But again, it's just amazing in general. Whenever I say that I have people here, I don't like to entertain these celebrities or whatever because I feel like in some way y'all are my celebrity. Y'all are the people that I'm showcasing. Y'all are the examples of amazing things, whether going through obstacles, life, and all kinds of things that y'all get to surpass. And I think somebody could find very inspirational for the things that they're doing, to be able to be an example for them. And again, like you said, I don't doubt that you inspire people for everything that you do, and the willingness to help people still too as an activist and having that, and still working your business and seeing it maybe in the near future bigger. And I think without a doubt, you definitely are a global Latin factor. So Yessy, you are a global Latin factor. Thank you so much for being here. I
Thank you.
appreciate you.
Thank you so much.
This was don't worry, go take man. Don't cut that. Don't cut that. Hit the table. This was another episode of the Global Latin Factor podcast. Remember to subscribe to the channel, leave us a comment, give us a thumbs up, and remember, we are just like you. We are people. We are the spice in this melting pot that it is the world. Till next time. Thank you very much for checking out this episode of the Global Latin Factor podcast. Make sure you go and subscribe to the channel and check out one of the other episodes that we have prepared for you. Thank you very much. Till next time.
Walks like a pedo, but in fact is a flamingo. Coming to Havana and reflecting.